On April 14, 1912, at exactly 11:40 p.m., the RMS Titanic struck an iceberg in the icy waters of the North Atlantic. Just 3 hours later, by 2:20 a.m. on April 15th, the world's largest and most luxurious ship at the time vanished beneath the surface. Over 1,500 lives were lost, making it one of the deadliest maritime disasters in history. For decades, the accepted cause was simple: an iceberg. But now, over a century later, scientists and historians have uncovered shocking new evidence that challenges this official story. The Titanic wasn't just any ship. It was a floating palace, measuring over 882 feet long, 92 feet wide, and towering 175 feet tall. It was a marvel of modern engineering. It took more than 2 years and 3,000 workers to construct, many of whom worked 6 days a week under perilous conditions. 8 men died during construction and 246 others were injured. The ship cost $7.5 million at the time, over $160 million today. Ironically, that's less than the budget of the 1997 James Cameron film that immortalized its tragic voyage. The ship featured 4 towering smokestacks, each 81.5 feet tall and weighing 60 tons, angled slightly backward to enhance its imposing profile. Its massive hull was built to last, and the ship was widely considered unsinkable. Inside, it was modeled after the Ritz Hotel in London, boasting a grand staircase that spans 7 decks, Turkish baths, a heated swimming pool, a gymnasium, squash court, beauty salon, and even a private area for passengers' dogs. First-class passengers enjoyed 13-course meals served with multiple wine pairings, and the Titanic carried over 1,500 bottles of wine, 20,000 bottles of beer, and 8,000 cigars. It even had its own onboard newspaper. Yet despite all the luxury, one essential item was missing: binoculars. In 1912, lookouts heavily relied on binoculars to detect distant hazards like icebergs. But the only key to the binocular locker had been accidentally taken off the ship by Second Officer David Blair, who was reassigned at the last minute. In his rush, he forgot to hand over the key, an oversight that went unnoticed until it was too late. But even more startling than the missing binoculars is a theory supported by recent investigations. The iceberg alone didn't cause the Titanic to sink. There was another hidden threat: a coal fire. Journalist Sinan Moloney, who has spent decades researching the Titanic, uncovered photographs taken before the ship's departure showing a long, dark mark on its hull. Experts believe this was the result of a fire in one of the coal bunkers, which had been burning for 3 weeks prior to the voyage. The fire reached temperatures so high that metallurgists estimate it weakened the steel hull by up to 75%. And in a tragic twist of fate, the iceberg struck precisely at the location where the hull had been compromised. The ship's management knew about the fire and its damage, but canceling the maiden voyage would have caused massive financial losses. A nationwide coal shortage triggered by a miners' strike had already disrupted travel. Other ships had canceled sailings, and Titanic tickets were sold out. To keep the voyage on schedule, the owners bought up coal from other ships and rotated the Titanic in port to hide the fire damage from passengers. There were other critical failures. The Titanic needed around 60 lifeboats to accommodate all passengers and crew. The original design called for 48, but this number was reduced to just 20, purely to preserve the ship's elegant appearance. Shockingly, that still met legal requirements at the time, which were based on ship tonnage rather than the number of people on board. To make matters worse, the scheduled lifeboat drill on the morning of the disaster was cancelled by Captain Edward Smith, while the reason for the cancellation remains unknown. When the collision finally occurred, it took the crew over 30 minutes to begin launching lifeboats, a process that should have taken 10. Many boats were launched half empty. The first lifeboat, designed for 65 people, carried only 27. Passengers didn't initially understand the seriousness of the situation. Most were hesitant to abandon what they believed to be the safest place on Earth. In the years since, even more troubling facts have surfaced. Captain Smith, the man in charge, had actually failed his first navigation exam. Though he later passed and enjoyed a long career, it raises concerns about the decisions made during those critical hours. The tragedy was compounded by missed opportunities for rescue. Distress flares were fired into the sky, and a nearby ship, the SS Californian, was close enough to help. But it never responded. The captain of the Californian was later blamed and lost his job. However, modern research suggests a rare weather phenomenon known as a thermal inversion may have bent the Titanic's distress signals in such a way that they were invisible from the Californian's perspective. Layers of warm air above colder air refracted the light, making it appear that no ship was in danger. Ultimately, the sinking of the Titanic wasn't caused by a single iceberg. It was the result of multiple failings. A hidden fire, a rushed schedule, missing safety equipment, human error, pride, and pressure. Together, these factors created the perfect storm that led to one of the greatest tragedies in maritime history. The truth about the Titanic, scientists reveal what really happened. Over 100 years later, we still piecing together the truth, finally seeing the full picture of a disaster that could have been prevented.